How did you turn your life around? Stopped caring about things I can't control and put all my energy into the things I can. It sounds hard, but there's actually a lot you can control and that doesn't leave much room for the other crap. I got injured in a car accident, rear-ended, lost my business and my wife of 19 years eventually left for another man, leaving behind a 17-year-old daughter and 2-year-old son. No job, no car, no money. 2 kids and $2k a month in rent coming due. 2 days after she left I took my real estate license test. I passed. I had planned to surprise her but had hid that I was studying in case I failed. Either way it wasn't enough and I ended up taking a job at Amazon. I worked a graveyard shift while my daughter stayed home with my son. I also did open houses on the weekend in hopes someone would walk in unrepresented. It still wasn't enough so I signed up to drive Uber and Lyft. I had been able to pick up a decent vehicle from a family member for cheap and I was in business. I switched my graveyard shift to a day shift and started driving through the nights. The money was alright but I realized I could make a little more if I switched from Amazon to another large company in the area. So I did. I did that for about a year. Things were okay. I was making good money and then Coldwell Banker fired me. I didn't think Coldwell fired anyone as long as they were paying their dues. I had never sold a house so all it meant was I needed to switch to another broker. Turns out that was a blessing in disguise. A friend called on my way to sign with Keller Williams and convinced me to sign with a temp agency. I was skeptical but what did I have to lose? The first and second day I was placed with Toll Brothers. It was alright and I could see myself doing that. On the third day I was sent to a local developer and my world was changed. The broker of record and the local developer took me under their wing. After a few months they hired me away from my temp broker, gave me a salary and commissions and provided me with an opportunity to change my kids' lives forever. I was able to go from working 4 jobs to just 1 and I have learned more about myself than I could have ever imagined possible. It's been 3.5 long years but I wouldn't change a thing if I could. I just got hired at Amazon. I'm also here turning my life around and trying to gain financial independence from my parents. So far so good. Days are long but I am here doing it. Not gloating, relating. Glad everything worked out for you too. When I was a teenager I was homeless. A lot of places wouldn't hire me because I had no experience or interview clothes. I went to the Board of Education and begged the HR lady to give me a chance at any job. I told her I'd scrub the school with a toothbrush if they paid me. They made me a general sub for clerical. I took a call for one of the bad neighborhood schools that some others turned down. Walked across town to get there every day. I had to start walking at 4:30 AM to be on time. I wore dress clothes from a church mission that were way too big but I did my best. After 4 months they gave me a long-term position, then a permanent one with benefits. I saved up enough for an apartment. Finding a landlord okay with renting to an 18-year-old homeless girl was hard, and started college. I haven't been homeless a day since in the last 15 years. I even have a house now. Amazing to hear this. Probably weird to hear this from a stranger but I am proud of you. People like you motivate me. Decided it's okay to put yourself first no matter what. I don't mean that go ahead and cheat and lie for your benefits. For example, I was seeing this toxic person for some time and I was the one always compromising and making efforts. When things finally ended, I chose to cut off all contact from that person while they wanted to remain in touch. For support or validation. I felt bad and selfish while doing it but starting to feel better about myself now that that person is out of my life. You need to be selfish if the other person is being selfish too. Affix your own oxygen mask first. Realized there was more to life than partying and waking up hungover all the time. I still think it's good to go out and have fun but just make sure to do it in moderation. It's easy to get caught up in that life and forget what's truly important like friends and family and taking care of yourself. Goddamn I want to stop drinking so bad. Moving out of my parents' house. I was living with my parents, which is very common thing in India. Until end of my med school, I've been in my comfort zone all my life and had everything I need. That led to depression and all I wanted is to live by myself and to get out of my bubble. Now, I can't say I figured it all but I definitely feel better. This seems to be an Indian thing. I'm in South Africa but my parents want me to get married first before moving out. But like you, I'm craving independence. So tired of answering to other people. Also, I don't want to get married and let that be my first experience of living alone. My wife would think I'm useless. I heavily reduced sugar when I was 21 and started resistance training. 2 years later and I am feeling the best I have ever felt. Have so much energy and self-confidence because I actually like the way I look now. Clothes fit so much better as well. I've been trying to do this. It's been difficult because my grandmother, who I currently live with, keeps a lot of junk food in the house and not as many fruits and vegetables. Went to the gym. It helped me break out of OCD-induced psychosis and brought me back to reality and have been going every day since. Had to replace it with exercising in the park during the peak of COVID though. Realizing I don't have to act like someone I'm not just to be liked by everyone. Changed my life choices and it made me a much happier man. I wish I've done it sooner and not on my late 20s. So much wasted time. I grew up in South Florida during the beginning of the opioid craziness. From 2006 to 2011 things got pretty bad. I'm 2011 I sold my last possession, my car for $800, packed 2 suitcases and bought a bus ticket to Denver. Never been to Denver. Didn't know anyone there but weed was starting to be legal and I didn't want to miss out. I detoxed on the bus going from Florida to Colorado. Do not recommend. I got lucky and ended up sitting next to a guy that was a grower and needed help in his garden. I didn't know it at the time but on the Greyhound he said I had an 8-hour job interview. Got to Denver and he really helped me get established. Within 2 months I was sleeping on his couch and learning how to grow. Haven't touched a painkiller since I got on that bus almost 9.5 years ago and now I'm married, homeowner, decent car, and working my dream job in the cannabis industry. It's not for everyone, but I literally went from homeless sticking needles in my arm to living a life better than I could have ever imagined. When you said lucky for you the guy next to you was a grower I thought this story was going somewhere else. Started going to therapy. Slowly realized that I have to think about myself too. Started going to gym, setting boundaries, eating foods I like and every day I tried to do one thing that made me happy. And I finally got the courage to go to school and study something I actually like. After being laid off from my last factory job, I suddenly found myself on the streets of Toronto in the early 1990s with a grade 9 education, no money, no friends, no job references, and not really any family. So what did I do? Found an unbelievably dirty crappy crawl space basement apartment, applied for welfare, stopped drinking and smoking, and anything else unhealthy, got a gym membership and went 4 hours a day, jogged 5 miles every morning, weather permitting. Enrolled in an adult high school, ignored everyone and everything that would be a distraction, got my high school diploma with honors in 2 years, applied for university, got in, moved to a different city and spent 4 years getting my BA Hon in philosophy because I like to think and solve problems, applied to a graduate program, and spent the next 10 years getting my MA and my PhD, then spent the next several years as a professor making good money and having lots of fun. Won't say how things are going now because I got cursed with poor health etc. and so am no longer working. I'll just say that I am happy now and know that I would have ended up either dead or in jail if I hadn't done what I did all those years ago. Sooner or later everyone has got to take their life seriously. Sooner or later everyone has got to take their life seriously. So much this. I work in healthcare and the difference in people who haven't taken care of themselves is astounding. 40 tends to be the break point I notice when your bad decisions start catching up with you. Quite recently, I deleted Facebook, deleted Instagram and Snapchat. I now only use Twitter and Reddit. I stopped making an effort to those who don't for me. I cut out the toxic people in my life and I surrounded myself with positivity and care. Realized my quest to find love wouldn't fix anything wrong with me. Stopped manipulating and using men to try to fill the void in my soul. Treated men like people instead of tools. Actually fell in love and am married to the most wonderful person I've ever met. Went from just partying hard on the weekends to partying hard every day to losing my job from partying hard. Drug test failed for coke. From there it turned to really low point. One day, I had an epiphany and realized that it wasn't what I wanted, and that I've seen people go down similar paths, actively seeked help, changed friend groups, stayed in, got clean, and I'm now doing okay. Can't say I'm doing great, but my future is looking better every day, even if it's only slightly. The addiction is still affecting me, even after all this time. It's caused insomnia and depression, along with anxiety, things I didn't have before doing cocaine. Thanks for sharing, man. You've got this, and if you ever want to speak to someone who's been there, just give me a shout. I wasn't happy, lost weight, shaved head, got tattoos, travel more, complain less. Everything I do is for myself. I have a long way to go. If it's me trying to impress someone, it never sticks. You have to want to do it yourself. Two people so far apart, yet I feel the joy in your heart. Refused to be another statistic. Never stayed complacent. Allowed myself to be uncomfortable and enter scary unknown territory for personal and professional growth. Oh, and I got pets, and they make me so happy. And they make me want to do better so I can get them nice things like a big backyard and lots of toys, lol. +1 to wanting to live my best life so I can give my kitten his best life, haha. PS I love your username. Short answer. Support network. Without my dad I'd be dead. Now my fiance is helping me learn how to be happy. Long answer. Left an abusive home. Went to university at 18. Got lost in a black hole of depression. Drugs and debt for 3 years. Dropped out. Literally can't even remember half of it. Broke. Desperate. I called up my estranged dad and he helped me get back on my feet. Gave me a loan and kept me alive while I battled daily suicidal ideation and worked part-time. Eventually graduated. Now I'm 30 and my fiance is supporting me while I go through therapy. I even have some money in savings and we're talking about buying a home. Forced myself to become a couch surfing loser in order to reset myself. I was in my 20s with no job and no school, just bumming at my mom's place and drinking away any cash I could get my hands on while playing video games 24/7. Mom loves me unconditionally, which is good, but it basically enabled me because she would never throw me out. I realized I was a freaking loser and kicked myself out to become homeless, but not really, and bummed at my buddies' places until I could get a job and a place to live. Now I not only have a well-paying job and a nice enough place, but a wife I love and 2 cats, and I haven't hit 30 yet. I just needed to feel the hunger to realize I wanted more. Met a really nice girl. She generously gave me far more compassion, kindness and patience than a wretched creature like me deserved. Over time she changed me. I put down the bottle. I abandoned all my vices. I got clean. I couldn't have done it without her. Still clean to this day. That almost never happens. Good for you to be your best version for her. By taking responsibility. What I mean by that is that by accepting that this life is mine and I'm the only one that can turn it around. Nobody else. I quit drinking and smoking and all other bad habits, and I started training and counting calories to lose weight. 2 years later I'm healthier than ever. I'm surrounded by people who I love and love me. I got rid of all toxic people in my life, including my family, and I'm about to get married and start my own business. Eating healthier, sleeping well, and exercising regularly. The benefits of those 3 are so noticeable. You feel more energized and motivated. Yo dude, same here. It feels so good. I used to sleep at like 9 AM, now I sleep at max 11 PM. Congrats on fixing your life up. Quit my job. In 2010 my job moved to a different city, and I had to follow because the money was good, or so I thought. 12 HR swing shifts with 90-minute ride each way. Town was a total crap hole. Rents were crazy expensive if you didn't want to live in the hood. Ended up working for net zero after bills and expenses. Child support. Living in an apartment with no furniture. After 2 years I had enough. Learned to day trade. Put my savings into it. Doubled it. In a bull market everyone's a genius. Now that my kids are out of college, my bills are absurdly low. Learned to live cheap. Inherited a house. Sold it. Now my investments are under professional management. Drove a forklift for a while. Cool gig. I know people don't like to hear this, but money is important. If your debt to income, DTI, ratio is 100%, It doesn't matter if you're earning $500 K or working in the food court, you're still broke. People would say I wish I had those problems, but you really don't. But if you're earning $5 K a month, $60 K before tax, and your bills are only $1 K a month, you're doing better than the $500 K guy who is struggling to afford his lavish house and unnecessary cars. He looks like a baller, but trust me, he's losing sleep. If that job goes car fluey, he's fricked. Presently, I could throw a dart at the map and go live there, provided it's a second-tier city with low taxes. Learn to cook. Don't buy extravagant cars. I haven't gone on vacation in 5 years because I'm on permanent vacation. All that crap adds up, and if I spend like a fool I'll have to go back to working somewhere to earn money to pay on crap I don't care to own. More importantly, being chained to a clock and selling my remaining hours, which are finite. Or, one morning I can just get up and call the realtor and put my place on the market and drive to Idaho, or Salt Lake, or Santa Fe, and look for something else. That's the best happiness I ever found, being unchained from any responsibilities and having realistic expectations for basic comforts. My ex-wife and her current husband spend way over $100 K a year trying to afford a, admittedly nice, house, and they're freaking miserable. Always cash broke but trying to afford more crap, like expensive vacations, bird baths and little windmills for the yard, so they can brag to their co-workers how well they're doing. Then collapse on the couch and wait for the next workday, and do it all over again in jobs they hate. 270 days a year. He's still gonna be paying on that house till he's 80. Frick that. One of the best things that ever happened to me was when my life turned to crap. The only true freedom that you find is when you realize and come to terms with the fact that you are completely and unapologetically fricked, and then you are free to float around the system. Doug Stanhope. My old school was absolute crap. My teachers were incompetent and were fueling my mental health issues rather than helping me with them. Ran away from home after a fight with my mom. Lived in a governmental institution for kids and teenagers for 6 months and changed schools. I'm a student of a Christian private school now. Not Catholic though. Sounds worse than it is. And I finished therapy. My teachers here really care about their students and want them to be good and happy. Changed my grades from an average of 4.4 in Germany 1 is the best and 5/6 is the worst, to a 2.0 and I'm back at home with my mom. Never been happier in my life. Was always chubby while growing up. Had been yo-yo dieting for almost a decade. It eventually got to the point where the dieting wasn't effective. I couldn't lose the weight and wasn't even eating much. I decided enough was enough and I was going to beat that freaking eating addiction. I remember walking into the kitchen being fed up with the scale, the food, my body. I thought to myself, this is absurd. I am not eating much yet I still can't lose. I'm done with this crap. I stubborned up. Cut the junk food, the snacks, and the irregular eating. Within 2 weeks my body caught up. It's been 2 years since and I am proud to say that I'm actually in love with the way I look. And I don't even look perfect. But I'm content. I'm no longer addicted to food and do eat intuitively. It's not just the food addiction though. As soon as I got that under control, every other aspect of my life has improved significantly. I just feel happier overall. Lived in Detroit. Skies are grey. Got laid off because management made an absolute mess out of the merger. Next door neighbor got murdered. Decided the city will be the death of me and my happiness. 2. Sold the house. Bought a van. Moved to LA. Went to school. Now I am doing some of the coolest crap imaginable. A number of publications. Trips to the jungle. Exploring uncharted caves. Meeting celebs. Jumping out of airplanes. Presenting at academic conferences. Now trying to get into a PhD program in archaeology. That's it in a nutshell. I realized that I needed control of my life. I was on a bad path to life in jail and was listening to a bad crowd. Jail or death were the paths in front of me. One day while cleaning dishes it dawned on me that I had more worth. I could do better than that. I now run tow truck and love it. I get to help people and make smiles happen on so many faces it's not even funny. I give them a little knowledge along the way cause I know a thing or two. But tell them to take it with a grain of salt as I'm not a mechanic but it's a start to what may save them money. Made it a point to think positively and to say positive things. Negativity can really drag you and everyone around you down. If your life feels like it needs turned around, then in my experience there is a desire in the back of your mind that you've ignored for too long. Could be anything, but you have to do one of two things. You have to either start taking realistic steps towards that desire, or you have to reconcile the fact that the desire is unobtainable and stop dwelling on it. You also need to understand that either way is a step forward. I, 24F, died. CW, overdosing, death. So when I was in the peak of my depression, I decided to give up and to overdose on a cocktail of my medication, including quetiapine and tramadol. And my last words to my best friend was, "You can have my computer over text." After this I take the pills and she made the call even though I hadn't said what was going on. According to the paramedics, I was dead for about 2 minutes. After waking up in the hospital alone, my best friend showed up and offered me to stay with her family. Over the past year they have helped me grow and taught me life skills that my neglectful, narcissistic, homophobic parents would have never. I was a high school dropout in a dead-end job earning $30K per year. Found out my girlfriend was pregnant when we were only 20 and had visions of being a deadbeat broke dad who couldn't provide for a kid I brought into the world. So I did a bridging course and went to university at 21 just as my daughter was born. Married my GF at 24 and have since had 2 more kids. Comfortably earn $200K a year and have a great career and feel like everything just fell into place. Leaving Tumblr. I had been brainwashed into one of the most insufferable people, boycotting everything, tirades about inequality regardless of the appropriateness. The hive mind mentality was making me a bad person who thought I was always right and just. I'm happier now that I got out of there and people actually like being around me. I have friends again. Most importantly though, I'm enjoying the world without constantly spitting venom at anything that isn't the perfect utopia project. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.